Hi everyone, my name is Anvi and welcome back to another episode of the podcast Through Their Eyes. Today, me and a surprise guest are going to be talking about New Year's resolutions and some other fun things. So, let our surprise guest introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Some of you guys must remember my face since I have been on the podcast. But for those of you who don't know, my name is Emily and I used to be a host. And I'm just making a guest appearance today for January's episode. And I'm really excited to get into today's topic.
Oh yeah, okay. So I wanted to start out the episode by sharing, our own New Year's resolutions and how we've been doing with them, but also, what we think about New Year's resolutions as a concept. Because I know I have some opinions on New Year's resolutions, but I know Emily probably does too. So Emily, what are your New Year's resolutions and have you been following them?
Ooh, I have a couple New Year's resolutions. It's funny because I like keep a diary and every year I actually write out my New Year's resolutions on my diary and then at the end of the year I kind of reflect back on them. I actually haven't done that for last year's. I haven't opened that page in my journal, so I'm kind of curious and I want to see if I've kept up with them. Probably some of them, probably half of them not, though, being completely candid. But for this year, I decided to set some like reasonable goals for myself because I know if I set anything that's sort of really out there, I might end up not doing it, honestly. But let's see. Well, I'm learning French, and we and I were actually just talking about this before the episode got started, and I'm definitely going to continue with that. I think I'm like lower level intermediate at this point, or like higher beginner. Fingers crossed, like I'm at least intermediate. But yeah, I want to keep up with that because I love French culture, and also I think being trilingual would be really cool. Not gonna lie, I mean that's like pretty cool. So I definitely love to just, I don't know, add that to my repertoire. And let's see what else. And getting into grad school because news, but I am graduating soon. I'm going to be graduating in a few months, which I'm really nervous for, honestly, but also really excited just because it's sort of like a new chapter in my life. And I'm also trying to be more optimistic too. So I'm trying to really keep on track with that. And I think I've been doing a good job. I mean, we're on day 12 of 365. And I mean, I've been pretty optimistic. I've been pretty hopeful. So let's try to maintain the attitude. Let's see what else I've been trying to think of. I wrote them down. I wrote them down. Actually, I literally have my diary next to me. So let's see what I wrote down, actually.
Let's
Because
see what you have in there, Emily. Oh my gosh. Do you have like a general idea of like what your theme is? Because I know some people they say that they have a theme for their New Year's resolutions. Like I think my teacher in one of my classes, he's like his theme was activity. So he'd be like, I want to go hike this trail and then like bike this marathon and then do this. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. And I feel like the more I've like talked to people, the more I've seen a theme. So I was wondering, do you have a theme with like, yours? Because I feel like so far it's like a little bit of a theme.
yeah,
What
there's
do
a
you
little bit of a theme. Honestly, yeah, I've never even thought of it that way, but yeah, I think a theme for mine would honestly be activity and just sort of exploring new terrain. I also have traveling more and reading more books. Just,
Ooh.
I think it, you know what? I think the best adjective I could use to sort of describe my New Year's resolution is expansion, just because it's not really just about covering more terrain, like as a tangible in a tangible sense, but also just sort of expanding my knowledge base and exploring new territory that way, even if it's not, tangibly. So I think I'd say expansion is the adjective that I'd use to describe my New Year's resolution. But what about you?
No, that's so wonderful. I love that. I think mine would probably also kind of be expansion, but also more of growth as well. I don't know. I just stole your adjective. I'm so sorry. I'm an adjective stealer. But yeah, one of them was basically to get more like connected to my culture. Obviously I have my American culture, but it's like the Indian culture is like the part of me that I've never really gotten to experience. And I think one of the things that I'm trying to do is get more into Hinduism and more of the spiritual side because Hinduism it has like a variety of different things. But I'm trying to get into the more of like way of life part of it rather than the religious part of it. And it's actually been doing like me wonders. So I'm really happy with that. So definitely expanding myself in that area because again, I'm an adjective stealer, and Emily just gave me the perfect adjective. And then I'm also trying to learn how to read and write in Telugu. So this alphabet is pretty tricky. There's like 56 letters, and then you also have like the matrices, and then the grammar is just completely different from like English. So I'm trying to like learn how to read and write, and it is not fun, but I'm doing my best. And then I think after that, yeah, me and Emily, we were literally talking, like she said, about French, so I'm trying to keep that up. But yeah, I'm just trying to learn new skills, but also get like more attached to, my parents' culture. So I think right now it's also trying to get like fulfillment. I think if Emily's thing is expansion, mine's fulfillment. But I think hers is also like a little bit of fulfillment and mine's a little bit of expansion. You know what I'm saying, Emily?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and I feel like fulfillment is sort of at the core of any New Year's resolution because I think as people we're constantly sort of setting these goals or aspirations for ourselves that are ultimately sort to add to our lives, literally to fulfill you, to fill your cup. So it's like that makes sense. And I feel like that sort of is at the center of any goal in life in general, whether we recognize that or not. So I think you kind of just like crack the code on that one, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but they actually called last Friday Quitters Friday because everyone just like stops their New Year's resolutions on that
What?
Friday. Yeah, I didn't know that either, but apparently just everyone is like, you know what? New Year's resolutions, why am I even doing it? But I feel like you did a really like interesting thing when you said like the fulfillment part because it's like, yeah, no one wants to do I guess a thing that they seem is like they think is unattainable or it seems unattainable. I feel like if you set like more small expectations for yourself, you not only will you get like that dopamine from, like doing those small things, but you also get to like have your New Year's resolution. So I like that you said that, but I think that's probably why a lot of people, quit because it's just like they have such grand and big New Year's resolutions. Like, I'm gonna go run a marathon. And it's like some people maybe they are going to go run a marathon, but it's like for people who don't maybe have as much discipline, and that's totally fine, they need to like build it, that probably would seem really, I don't know, like that what's the word for demotivating? That's the thing. But I was wondering like, what your take on that was.
It's funny because I think we actually touched base on that a little bit in last year's episode where we talked about like discipline. And I think, I mean, I've always been the type of person, just because this has been instilled in me by like the people around me, that literally anything that you want to do in life is attainable if you have the motivation and if you have sort of the just general motivation to achieve it, anything is possible. And it's funny because I have this quote that I always think of, and I actually read it in a greeting card when I was maybe around like 8 years old. And it's like so corny, but for some reason, it's just really made an impression on me. And every time I set a goal for myself, this quote is quite literally in the back of my head, just that and I'll tell you guys what it is because I'm building it up so much and it's probably just gonna be like the most like simple like thing ever. But I saw it on a greeting card and it was like if you aim for the moon, you'll reach, what is it? It was
You'll
something
reach the
along,
stars?
yeah, if you aim for the moon, even if you miss it, you'll land amongst the stars. Which I
I
think
like
is really interesting. It's cute, it's corny, but it's like also still like it's like short enough and also just like such a simple analogy that it sticks, I guess. And I don't know, like greeting cards just aren't what they used to be. They're all like AI now. But yeah, back when some human was putting some thought into it, I'm sure maybe that quote is like from somewhere. It's some variation of something that's been said a million times before. But it is true. I genuinely think that if you set a goal for yourself and you work hard enough, even if you don't get to that goal or what you pictured in your mind, you'll at least get close enough to it, or you'll make enough progress that you'll at least be getting something good out of it. I genuinely do believe that. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, yeah, or even just like putting your best foot forward and making an earnest effort in anything will always get you somewhere. I genuinely do believe that like what's meant for you will find you, and that the things that like you genuinely feel drawn towards doing, like if you put enough effort into them, that you'll get to them. I genuinely do believe that. And I, like you were saying, I think it's really just about creating sort of like these attainable or I guess like tangible, realistic steps, for lack of better words, just because saying that you want to run a marathon, like when you've when like you only exercise like twice a week or maybe like once a week like sounds like crazy, but it's such a doable thing. It doesn't even have to be, I mean, I don't know what the different types of marathons are. I'm not a runner or anything like that, but it doesn't even have to be like some crazy like I don't even know if they have cross-country marathons, whatever. Yeah, I don't even know if they have that, but it doesn't have to be anything like insanely like out there or superb. Like it could be something small and just like build your way up. You know what I mean? Like I think when we sort of make these like declarative statements, they can sound really intimidating, but I'm the type of person where it's just like I genuinely believe that like if you want to be able to do something, like you can do it. And sometimes it's not even just about like the motivation. Like sometimes you just need somebody to say, you can do it. Like I believe in you. Like sometimes that's what it takes too, because I think sometimes people get demotivated because they don't really have somebody who's like in their corner saying that to them, or like, or they have people who are like not, even if they're not like outwardly denouncing it, might be like, oh, are you sure? Like sort of just like putting that doubt in your head. And I feel like a lot of people tend to have like someone in their life that's close to them that's like that. And I think that's why a lot of goals or ideas get put down, just because like there's so much like doubt, I guess. But I really do think that aside from discipline, it really just takes somebody who believes in you. Like, I think as people, we sort of tend to underestimate the amount of power that one person really believing in you and seeing the good in you can like have on a person. Like, it's, yeah, I mean, like, there are probably people in the world who have like chased a dream just because they had like one really good teacher who like helped them or like did something out of the kindness of their heart to sort of show like a sentiment of support. Like I really do think it's important to have people who believe in you. And yeah, like and if any of you guys don't have that, like I believe in you. And I know Envy probably does. I know Envy
I
definitely does
do.
too. Yeah.
I believe in you guys.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm trying to think of what else I was gonna say because I had like a final statement too. But yeah, no, I genuinely think that anything you want to do in life is perfectly attainable so long as that you put the genuine effort in to do it. And also just having the discipline because realistically it's like motivation really only takes you so long. And I actually said, I think I know I said this last year too, but um it's goes beyond motivation. It does delve into discipline. I said that last year, I'm saying it this year, and I'll probably 100% say it next year too, not going to lie, like to anybody who asks me about this topic, but motivation is not perpetual just because feelings are so fleeting. And I genuinely think that it takes mental discipline to get things done just because of the fact that you might be feeling super pumped about something one day and the next day like you feel like shit and you don't want to do like the work. And that's like normal. That's human. There's not a single person on this planet who wakes up with like this intrinsic, I mean, there probably might be, but if you're not one of them, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you can't accomplish your goals. It just means that you have to keep the vision in mind and at least do something to contribute to your goal. Like I know for me, like if I have a goal, like even if I like skip a day, like I'm like, okay, the next day I'm gonna do this because that's normal, that's human. You know, sometimes like you don't have time or sometimes you really don't feel like it or like or sometimes like if I feel really low and I'm just like, no, but I still want to do this, like I'll do like a little bit of work just so I can say, you know what, I did it. And that's some progress because like 10%, like giving 10% is better than giving 0% at the end of the day.
Yeah, I definitely agree with literally everything Emily said. And then that last part with like the 0%, I remember I had a band director and I was like in fifth grade or something. And there's something that he said to me that like stuck with me forever. It's like my equivalent of Emily's greeting card. And he basically said, give your 100%. Even if your 100% is like down here or all the way up here or wherever it may be, even if it's someone's 20% on a daily basis, just give it your all. And I definitely do the thing that Emily was talking about. Like sometimes when I have a test to study for, or I have some type of like extracurricular, or even like practicing my saxophone, I'll just like play a line, maybe play two lines, maybe study like a little bit, like a few flashcards, and then be like, I studied today. And that helps keep up the motivation. But I also think that definitely the thing with like that demotivation, a seed of doubt will grow into a tree of doubt, and that tree of doubt will strangle the rest of your motivation with its roots. Okay, it reminds me of like a strangler fig, and those are found in Asia. And what they'll do is they'll basically their roots will go and suck the life out of other trees, and it's like that seed of doubt will grow into that tree of doubt, and that tree of doubt will take all of your other motivation and suck the life out of it too. And it's like no one wants that. So just like Emily said, I believe in you, she believes in you, and you gotta believe in you too, because that tree of doubt will only keep spreading and growing because it's an invasive species in your mind. So keep that in mind. But yeah, moving on from that, I also wanted to just talk about how, what do you think about news resolutions? Do you think, like, we talked about motivation, but do you think that's like a cultural thing that we have that is doing benefits for our society, or is it kind of like a double-edged sword where it's giving benefits but it's also kind of like leading to that demotivation, leading to all of those people being like, man, I'm not good enough, why am I not doing this, da 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 da.
Yeah. I can't really speak too much of the cultural aspect just because I don't really have anything to compare it to, honestly. I'm trying to think if I know anything about maybe like Chinese New Year to sort of maybe like compare it to that in any capacity, but I quite literally am drawing blanks there, so I can't really speak to the cultural piece. But I honestly just see like New Year's resolutions as like a fun like tidbit, I guess. Like I don't really ever see it as something that's like super like this huge contributor to the culture in any like way, honestly, but I generally think it's like largely like a social thing and it's more of sort of like a like inter and intrapersonal sort of situation as opposed to something that's kind of like contributing to like the overarching like structure of like our country or anything like that. I think it's just sort of something like that's more social.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do think is really cute about New Year's resolutions is that they're sort of, at least to me, just because, like I said, I've been trying to be more optimistic and maybe I'm just like riding this high, but um, I genuinely think that New Year's resolutions are cute in this way where almost, they have they're almost like an outlet for people to put their faith and their hope into. And I think that's really beautiful just because of the fact that I think as human beings, it is like so important to have faith or believe in something. Like something that's good, like something that will help you grow, like something that gives you peace of mind. I think that's so important because if we don't have hope, if we don't have faith, then what are we doing things for? Just to keep them going. It's so important to have that because that hope, that faith, like that's what builds societies. So I guess I'm kind of counteracting what I said before, but it really does take these like positive feelings for like the future or for these causes to keep them going. Like people start nonprofits because they care about a cause, because they have hope, because they have faith for contributing to society in some major way. And I guess on a smaller scale, that's sort of what New Year's resolutions are, even if they're just like a personal thing. But even then, like, even if it is a personal thing, it's making a difference in your world. It doesn't have to make a difference in the world, but if it's changing your experience as a human being, like that matters and that says something because like you live in your body. You have to spend the rest of your life with yourself. So it's really important that you like curate these positive experiences and opportunities for yourself because we deserve to be happy. Like that's like you deserve to like do things for yourself that make you happy. I feel like every human being is like should have something that brings them joy in life just because life isn't all just, like rules and regulation. Like there should be like, things that you do for yourself, whether that's like going to the gym and like focusing on like I don't know, like focusing on like your physical health, or if it's like painting or drawing or like taking up pottery, or I don't know, like it could be something like else like fashion or makeup, like like just having something that sort of fulfills your individuality. Like that's really important because that then like is that like sort of like hope and that like happiness like contributes to your life and the work that you put out in general. So, yeah, I think it's really like they're very cute in that way just because I think yeah, they're literally almost like a not tangible, but they're sort of just like a representation of people's like hopes and like desires, I think. So, yeah. That's what I think of them.
Yeah, it's like 100% something I feel like everyone can look forward to. I think that's what I was trying to say culturally, but it kind of came out weirdly. I know in America we tend to have more of like this social culture, but I think New Year's resolutions are really fun because it's like you can have like an entire like society, you can have your whole like nation kind of do a little thing. And it's not even like us, we don't even do it. It's like a global thing, you know? But it's like that's so fun that we can have like a society and like people uplift each other and be like, "Oh, you have a New Year's resolution to do this? Heck yeah, man, I'll help you out." You know? But I think it's also kind of double edged because have you ever like heard people and they're just like, oh, that person's gonna quit their New Year's resolution in like XYZ, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay. I feel like it started out as like a thing where we could uplift other people. It's like, oh, Emily, you want to learn French? I want to learn French too. Let's have a New Year's resolution to learn French together or whatever, you know? And it's like a nice little uplifting thing. But now it's like, oh, did you hear that X, Y, and Z wants to go to the gym and like work out? Oh my gosh, with the way that he lives, he's gonna have to like quit in 2 days. And it's like, what do you mean? Why are you being so mean? You know? And
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot now, but I was just like wondering, like, have you ever heard of that? Like, is that just a me thing? Because I've noticed that a lot around like my peers and the people around me. They're just like, oh, New Year's resolutions, what the heck, you know? But yeah, I was
No,
just wondering.
I've definitely heard that, and I think like I don't really hear it interpersonally. Honestly, I really just see it on the internet a lot, and I think I don't know, I think like it really depends what corner of the internet that you're on too. I don't know. I feel like I can't really speak to the internet as a whole just because it's like there's
So
so much
vast.
there's so much variation. I feel I sort of like generalize it really by saying like this. It's just like it's not really going to be accurate, I guess. But I think it really depends on the corner of the internet that you're on, and I think it also depends on the crowd that you're attracting under a certain post because I'll see that and I'll see like some people being like really rude and just being like haters like under somebody's like comments, but then I'll also see people being like really uplifting under like other posts. So you kind of get both. But I think honestly like there's always going to be people who like don't believe in your goals or just like for some reason don't think that you're gonna do it. But at the end of the day, it's like you know who you are, and the only person who really knows what you're capable of is yourself. Because no one's inside your head, nobody's inside like your body. Like they can't tell you what you can and can't do. The only person who can tell you that is quite literally yourself. So it's not like I don't know. And it's also like if it's I sort of have this mindset where it's just like if it's like somebody who's not extremely close to you and like I don't know, can't give like a proper testament to your character, it doesn't really matter because they don't know you. And like I think, yeah, I mean, that's just what I think. There's always gonna be people who are gonna like be mean, but unfortunately, it's just like the way of the world. And there's always gonna be people to actually care and who support you to counteract that. And I think it's important to focus on that just because if you let yourself get dragged down, it's like, I don't know, like yeah, you can't let yourself get dragged down because there's always going to be somebody with something negative to say, but there's always going to be someone with something good to say too, and that's what should be focused on because if it's something that's making you happy and something that you're genuinely passionate about, then like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think especially like as you were saying, I feel like on Instagram, gosh, Instagram is like you can see like the reels, especially have you ever seen those like posts where it's like, oh, this reached the wrong audience like
Yeah.
entirely? Yeah. Like I know on Instagram they have a lot of that and it's like, oh, well, on Instagram it's like this person, it's like he's trying to get like buff, he's trying to do something, and then all the comments are just a bunch of haters. And it's like, man, are you kidding me? And then I noticed especially like on Reddit, it's such a hit or miss situation because it's like on Reddit, this person would be like, "Oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z," and then all the comments are like either like, "No, you're gonna fail, you're a loser," or "Oh my God, yeah, girl slay," and it's like it's always a hit or a miss. But I feel like Reddit advice has ruined a generation because why is this random person on the internet telling me how to live my life? Like, are you kidding me? Just as you said, it's like you don't know me personally, you don't understand the things I'm going through. How can you give me genuine advice, you know? But it's also like, why would I take that genuinely if you don't know me, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's always going to be people on the internet who are like that, and I don't know, like you can't ever really like understand why, and it's also like I think like something that I heard recently that was really interesting. Oh no, I actually heard this in a TV show and I like thought it was really interesting. I was trying to remember where I heard it from, but it was actually Abbott Elementary, which is literally one of my favorite shows of all time. I was so obsessed with it last year. I used to watch it all the time in my apartment. But It was like I think it was the principal, it was Ava. She was talking to one of the teachers, I forgot who, but she was saying something about I think the teacher was like venting about something, and then she was like and the teacher went like I just don't understand like why she does that or like why like this person is X, Y, and Z. And then like I think Ava was like, "Well, do you need to understand it?" And I think that's like a really, I don't know, I think that just really struck me because I think sometimes like no matter like how like even if someone like says something like negative to you and you're like, "Well, why?" Like I don't understand that. Like sometimes like you don't really need to understand why you don't have to give it more energy. You know, like you can still like get things like you can still like fulfill like your hopes. Like you know what I mean? Like that isn't like what is one person in the grand scheme of things? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah, when it comes to like what it is that you're passionate about.
Right. You can't let other people live your life, man. It's your life. And it's like, would you rather like look back on it all just being like, okay, I didn't do XYZ because, people didn't believe in me. I didn't try. Or would you rather look back on it all and be like, you know what? I tried. Maybe it didn't go as well as I thought, but I put the effort in. And I think one quote I was kind of thinking about when Emily was talking about the whole like motivation thing is like effort will never betray you. Never. Effort will never betray you because if you don't get what you want, you will get something else that is much greater in return. And I remember this other quote, and it's like, oh, my bag broke. I got a better bag. Oh, my friends left me. I got better friends. Oh, my life sucks. Okay, I bought a better life. I made a beher life for myself. And it's like the effort that you put in, the struggling you go through, that will never betray you because it's like your suffering doesn't make you a better person. It's the effort that you put to become a better person that makes you the better person. I could suffer for all who knows what, and Emily could also suffer for all who knows what. But she put in the effort to become a better person. She put in the effort to, evolve and change, and I didn't. So I feel like that's also another thing with like the motivation. It's like effort will never betray you, ever. And overall, I just think like when we have that mindset, that why are we taking other people into account, and also why aren't we taking ourselves into more of an account, that's when we'll have more of a happy situation. But I feel like it's also kind of hard because, as you know, humans, at the end of the day, even though I feel like the internet is there and we tend to be more isolationist, we still are social creatures. We still rely on other people. So it's like even that small seed of doubt that has such a huge impact because it's like if someone told me like, "Oh, you can't do it," and then like 10 other people said you can do it, it doesn't matter if those 10 other people did it. That person still told me I couldn't do it. So now I'm going to have that in the back of my mind. And it's such a fickle thing, but I feel like when we bring awareness to the issue and we start to think, "Okay, I know why this happens. Let me like suppress it now." Or not suppress, that's the wrong word. That is a defense mechanism. When I not suppress it, but when I like take it into account and then put it aside because it's not serving me, just as Emily said, that's when I'll be happy. And I just think it's just such a hard thing to, figure out because, we're still human and it's like we're still susceptible to other people's opinions, even as much as we pretend we aren't, we still are. So it's a bunch of fickle things, but it is life. So might as well live it your way or the highway. That's what they say. No, they don't. They don't say that.
No, but I completely agree with you though, and I think it's really important that we have people in our lives who do believe in us. And yeah, like I think it's hard to find people who sort of have this like unwavering belief in us, but I genuinely think that it's really important for people to have that and like even as like somebody who like works with kids, like I always like try to be that like for kids. Like if a kid ever comes up to me and like they say like, "Oh, I want to do this." I'm like, "Yeah, you can absolutely do that." Like unless you're hurting yourself or other people, I'm gonna be like, "Okay, like that's maybe let's relax." But like aside from that, it's just I think it's really important for kids to have somebody like that in their lives because it starts when you're young. Like honestly, like things that like you experience in your childhood, like you carry them with you throughout the entirety of your life, which is so crazy that such a short period of your life can affect you for the entirety of your lifespan, but you're just so developmentally, I guess, vulnerable during that time because you're developing. So it's like so yeah, I think it's really important for people to have that and if for people to be that for not only just adults, but also for like younger kids, but even for adults too, because I don't know, you could be like 80 years old and like want to do something and feel like nobody believes in you, but if you have like one person who's like, no, you 100% can do that. Like, or if somebody who's like even offering help, being like, you know what? I'll help you do that. Like that's gonna that's gonna motivate you. That's gonna make you feel like that's attainable and that's realistic. Like it's so important to have a good support system.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. Like a support system is the thing that'll either make you or break you. And it's like, okay, might as well choose people who will make you. I think that's also probably a really big impact that goes not only into, as Emily was saying, or not Emily was saying, but like as we were saying, the New Year's resolution part of it. But I think it's just, yeah, this is also like, I know that we're talking about New Year's resolutions, but it's kind of like we're talking about like life in general, like making
Yeah.
goals, having these things. It's like, because I feel like last year we were talking more about like the New Year's resolutions themselves, but I feel like this year we're kind of talking about like how it means in like the grand scheme of things, like how this is a representation of life. And I think that's just so interesting because it's like giving me a new perspective. Like we have New Year's resolutions, we have all these goals, and it's like a more tangible I guess perspective on like life and how we have our own goals. I think a lot of the times when people have, goals, they tend to look at like the big picture of things. And I know I definitely tend to do that. But it's like whenever we can't get that instant gratification or we can't get exactly what we want immediately, we aren't like applying that pleasure principle, and we're just like we have to wait for things, work for things, do things. It's just a lot harder to continue that motivation. And it's like, okay, including the fact that you have a terrible support system, great. Now are you ever going to achieve it? And it's not because you're not capable. It's not because you don't have the abilities. I think everyone has a potential for greatness. It's just how will you use that potential? How are you going to manipulate that potential in order to achieve the things you want to do? I sound like a dude bro right now preaching my YouTube channel. Do you know what I'm talking about, Emily? Like in
I
those
know what you're talking
podcasts?
about. Yeah.
We're turning the podcast into a dude bro podcast, everyone. Okay, tune in for the dude bros. It's me and Emily. No, I'm joking. But I'm just thinking overall, it's like it's just so interesting how much potential we have as humans, but it's also just so tragic about how much potential we never reach. And that's another thing. People they get like really worried about like never reaching their potential. And it's like I think what is it? Like the self-sabotage thing? It's like you have so much potential and you want to continue thinking you have so much potential, but instead of like trying and failing and like eventually believing like, "Oh, I don't have any much like I don't have potential because I just failed." They just like never try. And that's like, okay, why did you never try? And they're like, because I know I have a lot of potential, but I don't want to, see if that fails. And then I believe that I don't have that. But I was just wondering, what's your take on that as the psychologist soon to
Oh,
be?
I have a long way before that, like 5 years, but um
Oh, it's okay. That's close enough.
but I will say that I actually saw like a video about that the other day. But I think the fear of failure sort of holds so many people back. Well, yeah, and I think it's really hard to accept that failure is just a natural part of life. Sometimes you will fall on your face, and that's okay as long as you get back up. It is not something that you can circumvent, and that's something that I sort of struggle with believing myself because it's one of those things where I know rationally in my head that it is factually true, but it's hard because as human beings, we are rejection sensitive, a lot of us. And it's hard to accept that failure is inevitable, but the thing is, if you get back up and keep trying, it is literally impossible for everything that you try to be a total miss. Like there is something that you are going to be like good at. There's something that you're going to be able to achieve within like your goal, even if you failed previously. And I always like I'm like trying to think of it from a different perspective, and I'm trying to think of it as you are one less failure away from reaching a goal or from like finding your calling or from like finding something that you're like really good at or that you're passionate about. Because if you like Envy was saying, like if you don't know, like you if you don't try, like you'll never know. And yeah, I'm trying to get more comfortable with failure, I guess, because like I'm not good at everything. Like I know that and that's okay because I'm a human being. Like there's things that I'm good at, there's things that I'm not going to be good at. And that goes for quite literally every single other person on planet Earth. But at least I can say like I try to do something or even if I'm not great at something but I still have to do it, like I'm still going to put my best effort forward. Like I'm the type of person where it's like even if I'm not great at something, like I will still try to do it. Like I will still try to do it to like the best of my capacity or to like the best of my ability. So, yeah, I think it's really important to sort of like have that mindset. And I always like I try to encourage like my close friends. I'm like, you know what, like you should still try. Like you should still try because if you don't try, like you don't know. And if you're not great at it, then whatever, who cares? Like if people like laugh or make fun of you, like who cares? Like they're not the ones doing it. Like what are they doing? You know what I mean? So it's like,
Right. I think it's like you grow your own flowers, right? And it's like everyone's like, why are you growing flowers? You could grow something like better or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, you don't know that I like the flowers. You don't know what the benefits the flowers are giving me, right? And it's like that's the first example that came into my head, and I liked that one, so I used it. But I think as Emily was saying, it's like it doesn't matter how other people perceive you. You kind of have to just perceive yourself because again, it's like whose life are you living, man? Whose life are you living? Are you gonna like let the whole world decide your life for you, or are you gonna take the next foot forward and be like, you know what, I'm gonna take advantage of one thing? And I think something that's really helped me because I know I tend to be more people pleasing, and I'm not sure if that goes for Emily either, but it's like do one thing for yourself every single day, you know? And it's like even if it's a small thing, just do something for yourself, and eventually the habit will build. Because as Emily was saying in the beginning, it's like doing a small thing every single day. At least you can say you did something. And I think especially when you're trying to put yourself first, like let's say I have a goal to become like an artist. Okay, awesome. Now I'll try to like draw a little doodle every day. Maybe try to do more on days that I feel a little better. But it's like every day I'm working towards that goal, and every day I'm trying to fulfill myself. And it's like having, a good support system really helps with that. But it's like every day when you put a little bit of yourself into what you're doing, but also you just put more of your opinion into what you're doing and more of your care into what you're doing, you'll probably achieve more. But I've definitely noticed like my peers and I, maybe it's because we're teenagers, I don't know, we tend to be more people pleasing. So I think it's a really good habit for us to put ourselves, forward. And as Emily was saying, let's say, you're not the best at a certain subject, just put yourself forward because you don't know the things you can achieve. I know a lot of people who are really intelligent in certain subjects, and they aren't like naturally gifted at those things. They had to work their butts off. I know for me, like with Telugu, even though I want to be like the most amazing at it, and immediately get it because it's like my parents' language, and I feel like I should be great at it. I'm struggling, and you know what? That's okay. I don't have to be naturally gifted at Telugu. I don't have to get it immediately, but I'm doing a little bit every day. And sure, some people are like, "Why are you even learning this language?" or da 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 da. Okay, I'm doing it for me, right? So just put yourself forward, coming from one person to another. Also, Emily probably is also going through this, but yeah, just know that we support you, but you have to support yourself first, and that's how you achieve your goals, or
yeah.
something of the sort.
No, that is true. You definitely have to support yourself and your goals. Like I know for me, like it's so funny because I went out to dinner with one of my friends the other day and she was like, because I've been doing a lot of different hobbies or just sort of taking time now that I have a little bit more time to like myself since I'm not taking like a full course load at school, since I'm on break, but I've been definitely sort of, I guess, tending to my hobbies a lot more just because it's like, okay, like this is my time, like I can do that now that I have a little bit more time. Like of course I'm still doing like like some work and some stuff, but like I it's really important to sort of take the time to do things that you like when you have the capacity to. Like, I'm trying to think of things that I've been up to. It's so funny. Oh, I literally need to circle back to this. And I was at dinner with my friend. She was like, "You're like hobby maxing right now." And I'm like, "No, I know. It's actually really funny because I've been doing so many different things that I was always into as a kid, but I just sort of not really, I didn't really nurture them. Like, I used to really love art as a kid, and I just, I would paint when I was like in elementary school and in middle school, but then I just kind of gave up on it for some reason. I just didn't really take time for my hobbies when I was in high school. And I think that's part of the reason why I was like so sad a lot of the time, just because of the fact that like I wasn't fully, I guess, being me. Like I wasn't being me and I wasn't expressing myself in the ways that like I need to or the ways that like are beneficial to me. And I feel like, yeah, so I've been sort of just like revisiting different things that used to make me really happy. And I'm trying to sort of like make space for that in my life just because I think that's really important. Like I've been well, I haven't been painting a whole lot, but I've been painting some. I've been painting some just to pick up the hobby. I've been reading more. What else I've been doing? I've been practicing like my French, like Anvi and I have talked about. So yeah, just like trying out like different things. And yeah, like I mean, I haven't done this yet, but I do want to be more, I guess, community oriented, and that's something I've been thinking about doing for a really long time, just like doing like more volunteer work. And it's something that I am really passionate about, but just something that I haven't put my foot forward into doing, but I kind of need to hold myself accountable and do that just because it is really important to me. So, yeah, those are sort of things that I've been doing recently.
Oh yeah, Emily. I love that. I think especially as we get older and we try to, put ourselves first, it's kind of sad to like look back and be like, "Oh, we were so impressionable and so susceptible to, other people's opinions, especially, as children." It's very hard because life gets in the way. I hate that phrase, so I'm not going to use it. Actually, screw that phrase. Life never gets in the way, but it's just the different things a part of life that get in the way of you living the life that you want to live. And I think as a kid, I definitely had similar experiences. Like I was also really into visual arts, but now I tell everyone I can't draw, especially in AP Psych, and that's a very like drawing centered class. And I'm just like, I can't draw, so I don't try. And it's like, okay, I'm self sabotaging. If I think that I can't do something and I don't put effort into it, obviously I'm not gonna do it. Because it's like that what is it, that impression that you have with yourself. It's like, okay, well, I wasn't good at it. And I think especially because I'm in that phase right now, I'm losing a lot of the passions and hobbies that I had as a kid because I'm kind of telling myself like, oh well, reality kicked in, you aren't good at this, you aren't good at that. And then also self comparison, that is a thief. That is a thief, okay? Because I'm looking at all my friends and I'm just sitting there like, wow, that person can really draw, or wow, that person's like amazing at the flute. What the heck? Why am I not like, that good? And it's like that's the thief of joy, okay? You are joy maxing, but the completely opposite way. What is it? You're joy minimizing. You're joy minimizing. Don't do that. No, but I definitely liked hearing, from Emily because like that's the perspective I need right now. I need to save all of these like passions I have before I lose them. Emily, you were gonna say something. You had like the face.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, like you do. And it's so funny because my aunt actually literally has been saying this to me for years. Like, you need hobbies, you need things that make you happy. And this is actually like something that I hear really often from older adults in my life, where it's funny because even my like supervisor at my internship like said this to me, where it's like you can't put all of your, what is the phrase? I forgot what.
Eggs in one basket.
Yeah, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You need to have multiple things that you're doing so you don't get burnt out, because that's what happens when like you are constantly just doing one thing and it becomes monotonous for you. Like, you need to have multiple cups that you're pouring into so that way you have variation within your life. And part of those cups have to be things that you do just for you, because where are you going to get the motivation to do the things where are you going to get the motivation to do your responsibilities if you don't have, like your time for you? And that's really important. It's sad just because a lot of people, they're not really afforded that privilege, which is really sad just because some people like they have to work multiple jobs just because the economy is really rough for them, or they're not afforded certain privileges because they don't have like as much like free time as like other people, or they don't get breaks as often, and like that's completely understandable. But it's really important that if you do have that spare time, or if you are able to like manage your time to do that, just because you need to do things that make you happy to avoid burnout. Because I know like I burnout is something that I've struggled with like before. It's something that I like still struggle with, honestly, but I am trying to get better at it, and I think I have been doing a little bit better at it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think that's definitely, I definitely think that's definitely a great idea. Now, I'm so sorry, everyone. I've been having a day, but honestly, I think that's just something I feel like we could all use more of, like even if it's something small, just doing something for yourself. Like that's so awesome that Emily, is like looking back and like trying to do all these things that she likes. But yeah, like having all your eggs in one basket, it's not gonna help you with anything. You're just gonna have all of these eggs and then they're all gonna break and shatter. So I feel like when you have something and it's even like, something that seems miscellaneous, like, oh, like I just make paper stars or whatever. We were talking about that. That's why I bring it up. It's like, okay, well, you like doing it. You like taking those little strips of paper and then making it into little stars and having your little star jar. Awesome. That's great. But I think one thing that I was thinking of, and it just came to me now again, is I've noticed that especially with certain hobbies, we tend to gatekeep them. Like I know with instruments, especially like piano and violin and everything of the sort, everyone's like, oh, you need to start when you're like 3 years old. You actually need to start when you're like 5. Same thing with like figure skating or fencing. Actually, not fencing. Fencing you can start whenever. But like figure skating or all of these like really interesting like things that everyone wants to do. They're like, oh, well, you can't do it because you're too old or you're not gonna be ahead of your game or you're da 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 da. And it's like those are demotivators. But I've noticed that it's like a lot of people, they have all these hobbies, they have all these things, but as Emily was saying, maybe they don't have the resources to pursue them. But now that they're older and they do have the resources and they've been dreaming of these things, the world's telling them you can't do it. I know so many people who want to do so many of these activities, but they just can't. Not because they physically aren't able to, mentally aren't able to, financially aren't able to. It's because emotionally they aren't able to get past that demotivation, but also all of those like gatekeeping phrases that everyone's using. And I feel like that's just such a sad thing because it's like, why are we joy minimizing other people? Why are we taking away the joy? Okay, I don't want to be the Grinch, but it's like, why are we stealing Christmas from these people? That was so long ago. I don't know why I was talking about that. But yeah, I wonder because these are all human activities to sing, to dance, to play instruments, to read, to write all of these awesome like poetry and whatever the heck. That's human. When did we stop like making that human and start making that for something like for the elites? Like someone called like came up to me and they were like, "Oh yeah, you play saxophone? That's awesome. When do you start?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I played from like third grade." And they're like, "Oh, I really wanted to play saxophone. Is it something you have to start when you're young?" And I just looked at them and I was like, "No, what the heck? Go pick up a saxophone right now and start playing it." But it's just like I am so angry at the fact that people really look at all of these wonderful things and then they have the audacity to deprive others from having those similar joys because of some type of like random like, oh, you can't do it, sorry. That's just such a ick for me.
No, I completely agree with you, and I am under the impression that I really don't think that anyone is ever too old to do anything. I mean, unless it's something that you're physically unable to do because your body is not allowing you to do it, but I don't think you're ever too old to pick up a musical instrument or to start up a new hobby. In fact, it's actually really important for your brain to keep going. Like, stimulation is what keeps us alive. So I think that's really important to be able to pick up a hobby. It doesn't matter how old you are. And I think this impression that you have to be doing something for the entirety of your life in order to like enjoy it or to do good in it, like I think that's completely false. Like of course you have the upper hand of experience, but I don't really think I just don't think that what is it? Not I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example. Like I think if you want to learn piano and you're like 25, you should do that. It doesn't matter if you haven't been playing since you were like 4 years old or since you were able to have like control over your fingers individually. Like I don't think that matters. Like if it's something that you want to do, you should do it. I mean, like I know for me, like I actually recently started music lessons and I'm 22, so it's like and of course like I'm still young, but I'm pretty sure if I was still like if I was 50, I would still do it. Like me, like I've always been like really interested in piano. I actually picked up lessons for like a month when I was in eighth grade, but I stopped them because I was such a vain child and I didn't want to cut my fingernails because my nails have always been really long and I always loved painting my nails and I was like, no. But I regret not keeping on with it and I think it's something that I wanted to revisit too. I have a keyboard in my house that I could literally like practice with, but yeah, like I also picked up music lessons. So yeah, I am sort of hobby maxing, but like even if I don't like keep up with all of them, like I'm still gonna at least stick with something that I like. Like something that sticks enough for me to be like, this is worth setting time aside for like on a weekend. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's really important because it's like obviously I'm not going to keep up with a million and one hobbies like as I get busier, but I'm not going to drop all of them either. And I'm also just exploring what it is that I really like because it's really important to know yourself. Because through knowing yourself, that's how you make good decisions for yourself. If you don't know what you like, what you dislike, how are you going to make like life decisions for yourself? I think it really starts off as small as like knowing what things you're interested in versus what you're not interested in. Like the way that I think of it is like the way that I sort of conceptualize it is as like if you if you have generally no concept of what you like and like you're having to make like this big life decision, like I don't know, choosing a major or in college or choosing what city like you want to move into like as an adult like and you don't even have a concept of the things that you like, that's going to be really hard because you don't know. You're sort of going into it aimlessly. And it's really important to explore the things that you like so that you can make good decisions and live a fulfilling life.
Yeah, 100% agree with literally everything you said, Emily. And as the episode is starting to wrap up, I wonder, do you have anything else you'd like to say, or do you want to move into our segment that me and Emily have done, and it's called the media segment? So, do you want to move into that, or do we have anything else we want to say?
I'll just wrap up by saying it's never too late or too early to start a new hobby. And it doesn't even have to be a New Year's resolution. Like you can start something in freaking October for like you can literally just start something in October. It doesn't matter if you're interested in something, like you should do it because you never know where it's gonna lead. And it's really important just to have that self-belief and that discipline. And if nobody else is telling you that you can do it, and if nobody else is supporting you, me and Unvi are rooting for you. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, as Emily was saying, literally, believe in yourself, and so will we. And speaking of believing in ourselves, Emily said that she was reading a few books. Emily, what's your favorite book out of the ones you've been reading?
Oh my gosh. So I've actually I think I talked about the Hunger Games last time I
You
was
talk about the
on.
Hunger Games every episode, Emily. Oh
I
my
love the
gosh.
Hunger Games so much. I was reading, I'm actually in the middle of Sunrise on the Reaping. I finished A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes a few weeks ago.
Is it
I
good?
st Oh, I love that book so much. A lot of people say it's their least favorite out of the entire book series, but I love it just because it gives us so much like insight as to how the Hunger Games got to be what they are. But it's the longest out of the books. I think it's 500 pages, and the other books are normally like around 300, a little over 300. So regularly, they're not like crazy long reads, but that one just took me forever because I read half of it during the semester, but then I think I was like so like burnt out like the last like month and a half of the semester that I was like, okay, like literally I only have the energy to do like my schoolwork and like fulfill my responsibilities, and like that's it. And then once finals ended, I was like, okay, I need to read this. So I finished it actually. I think I finished it like the week of Christmas. And then I picked up Sunrise on the Reaping a few days ago. I actually just bought it. So, um I I think I'm only like a few chapters into that. I haven't picked it up as much, but I need to because I want to finish it before I go back to school. And then I have two other books one of them is called Tinker. I just picked it up randomly at Barnes& and Noble because the lady at Barnes& and Noble was like, I'm not letting you use the bathroom unless you buy something. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm gonna buy this book just because it looked interesting. And I also just really had to use the bathroom. But it looks really interesting. I actually read the first chapter of
Sounds
it.
like Tinkle, so hey, maybe you were on to something.
I don't know, maybe I was. But I picked it up. I read the first chapter of that. It's really interesting. It's just this book about from the back part, from the back of the book, it looks like it touches a lot on mortality. So that's always really interesting to me because I'm super existential. And then I also picked up this Murakami book because if I don't know if I probably mentioned this before, but Kafka on the Shore by Murakami is literally one of my favorite books of all time. I love it so much. It's just so interesting. I love anything that has like sci-fi or like fantasy and it's like touches on like morality or mortality. I love that because you guys know I'm like super existential, but
You know what
yeah.
you should read? You should read Nixia because that's basically they're talking about mortality, kind of, but it's also like crazy sci-fi. And the author actually lives in our home state of North Carolina. I say our home state as if you live in North Carolina with me, but
No, I'm from the crab state.
Maryland, yeah, but that's awesome, Emily. Nixia, you should read that. But anything else? Any other books?
No, those are all the books I've been reading. As for music, I mean, you guys know my music taste. I mean,
No,
my Spotify Wrapped.
Pumpkins.
You said, yeah, I love the Smashing Pumpkins. I love the Smashing Pumpkins so much.
I
But my
love
top artist this year was, I mean, you guys probably know Conan Gray. Obviously, it's been Conan Gray, third year running. So,
always Conan Gray. Oh my gosh, Conan Gray. I always say Conan Gray as if that's his name. It's not his name. That's awesome, Emily. Right now, I think I have been listening. I've actually started getting into the Marias, which is
oh yeah, you
interesting.
told me that. And I love the Marias so much. Literally so much.
I remember that. Yeah, in some episodes when we had the media segment, Emily would bring them up. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna tell Emily that. But Emily had a fun reaction to that. So I've been listening to the Marias. I've also tried to listen to more jazz because that's like the genre I want to play. And then for books, I've been reading a few of them, but they're mostly like political books because international affairs. You can see all those flags. It's so fun. But there's one book, and if you guys are interested in like how symbolism really plays a key in society, but also like the psychology of people. I know Emily might be interested in that. It's called A Flag Worth Dying For, and it basically talks about like different flags and how that symbolism can elicit such a strong reaction in people. And I'm reading it right now, and it's just so interesting. I haven't finished it yet because I feel like I have to take notes every time because it's just like so interesting for me. But yeah, it's a great book, and everyone, you guys should pick it up if that's something that interests you. And I've also been reading, what is it called? It's like that one book. I had to drop it for a little bit. It's like the Man in the High Castle or something of the sort. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That sounds vaguely familiar to me, but I
Yeah,
couldn't.
guys, I promise I'm reading this book. It's just like it's basically that one book where everyone gets taken over by like the Nazis and like the Imperial Japan. It's a man in a it's the Man in the High Castle or something of the sort similar to it. Some people it's a hit or miss, but I was just like, I'll give it a shot. It's actually kind of interesting. It's more of like the historical fiction kind of thing, but it's not that bad. But yeah, that's all I have. So Emily, any final words before we end today's episode?
I don't think I have any final words, but I guess what can I think? I think as a final note, I would definitely recommend that everybody do something that they like this week. Or just, I don't know, take on a new goal, no matter how big or how small, because I think that's really important because faith is what drives us forward and as individuals and then also as a society. So,
Yeah. And thank you so much, Emily, for joining us on today's episode. We hope to see you soon. But without further ado, bye everyone and have a wonderful 2026.
bye everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.